just half past noon, and I really don't want to take up too much of your time, but today we're going to be getting some heavy doses of reality, possibly with a side of piss and vinegar, and this comes because I was watching Excalibur. And you know, while I'm messing around online and everything, I had Excalibur running in the background, and Merlin is asked by King Arthur, Merlin, what is a knight's best virtue? And he says, truth. Yes, it must be truth. When a man lies, he murders some part of the world. And this has been an ongoing topic. It stood out to me, and I was like, how much truth do we really need? Well, we need all of it. And the more of it we have, the better off we'll be. And we haven't really given ourselves a very hard, batch of it in a while. And I thought today would be a good day for it. So, I've selected a couple of decks we haven't seen on this channel in a while. And I'm going to do this reading just a touch differently. We're still going to have our significator and guide there. So who we are, what we're being guided by, what's kind of driving us. We're still going to have our spirit animal, what we can look to in the very real world in nature. What we can look to within ourselves, because like it or not, as much as we like to resist it, we are nature. We are part of it. Actually, I wouldn't even say we're part of it, I'd just say we are it. And I'm going to do this, like I said, just a little differently. So we're going to start out with the mind, the body, and the spirit. Because I imagine this is not going to take very long. And this is from the Wild Unknown Tarot. The Wild Unknown Tarot does not pull punches, everyone. So we're going to get a good, hard, honest look at each other and ourselves in the mirror. I've got the Sacred Rebels Oracle, which is always about being your most authentic self. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rune deck here and I'm going to set it aside just right here for right now. Something I don't normally do, but I'm going to do it today. And we're going to get right into it, alright? Because part of the method I'm going to employ comes from Zerilath's channel, and if you haven't followed him, I'm going to try to remember to put a link in the description down below. I hope you will. And if you haven't pledged to Wasted Lands, now's a good time to do it. Jason's Kickstarter is over halfway there, last I checked, as of last night before I went to bed. So we finally got over that. We're right there, just over the hump, and now it's going to be all downhill from there. And on top of that, on top of being part of the Ogre system, which will be compatible in full with Night Shift, this one's also post-OGL, post-Open Game License, so they've removed some terminology, they've made some edits, and guess what? It's a really interesting take on fantasy, and I think you will absolutely enjoy it. If we can get that bad boy up to 20K, guess what? There's something for you Castles and Crusades fans. A conversion guide will be provided. So, I know you're seeing like some plastic jutting out here. I have 2 milk crates. They've become bookshelves. And they nestled quite nicely under my table, and they are full. So, don't worry about those. They're just more of my RPG books that I showed off last time. Let's get down to it, shall we? Alright. I've also heard this quote, light is the ultimate disinfectant. Well, if that's true, then we're going to have to start taking some more positive approaches, aren't we? We're going to have to start, we're going to have to stop engaging in lower forms of communication. We're going to have to start by ignoring all those people who are bugging us, by, engaging in more positive thinking, focusing on our own self-improvement. Remember, you can't do anything about someone else. Not a thing. You can call out bad behavior, you can point out what they're doing, but at the end of the day, the decision is still going to be left solely up to them. Understand? I hope so. Because you're being guided right now by this Fenrir. A lot of us are operating on the fact that we feel betrayed right now. And the weird part is, we feel betrayed because we really kind of put a little too much faith in some people. In my opinion, sometimes we do that. And when we do that and they falter or they fail us, well, then we start having issues, don't we? I'm seeing a lot of trust issues that are preventing our life individually from getting out there. And it's time to let go of that. Okay? Looking into nature, we do have a wolf spirit. This is where we turn everything we know into wisdom. There's a difference between knowing something and understanding it. One of the things that I've been trying to teach people lately is the original Dungeons and Dragons. It's not well written. It has a lot of holes. There's a lot left up to interpretation. In many ways, it's not very approachable. Dr. Holmes came in and made the basic D&D rules, which was a small booklet, in which he made it a little more presentable, a little more accessible, even a little more understandable for the common layman here. And when you compare that to later versions which added all these rules and options and things like that, it really added a lot of what we call crunch to it. When you start looking at that, you start to understand there were certain things that people had to do. They had to really get creative. They had to really solve problems. That's why the tabletop role-playing game Sphere has all the problem solvers and all the people who can think outside the box, the people who can call things on the fly. They may not always be the best calls, but they do call them, and many of them have the courage enough to do it. Life does not come with a set of rules, not even the most basic, but when you start operating on some of the most basic, some of the most understood rules, you'll start to understand why they're there. For example, when you see a kid acting like a douchebag and his parent corrects him, guess what? If you're older, if you're as old as I am, you're going to understand that. Yeah, that's right. Teach that kid not to act like a total douchebag. Because the kid will get farther in life by not acting like a total dumbass. Likewise, you and I will get by. Look, life is hard. It's harder when you're stupid. And it's even harder when you're unwilling to abandon your own stupidity. I do it too. Time to focus less on the stupidity and more on how can we fix the problems in our own lives. So, mentally, got a Four of Pentacles there. It would seem from this one that everything's in a harmonious balance. Taking a little time out to meditate and get to know what's going on with you. It puts things into perspective, and it gives you a lot more wiggle room. You can kind of understand where you need to make judgment calls. You can understand why you need to make them, and you can understand how to make them. Again, turning that knowledge into wisdom. I've got a 3 of Swords in reverse, so we are getting away physically from what's killing us. This is normally the Heartbreak card, but it's in reverse, so we are actually doing very well for ourselves. Mentally, physically, once you have control of the mind, the body has to follow. You understand? As a matter of fact, because of this, I'm going to show you something here. This entire reading so far, I'm going to show you something. Here's where you convert knowledge into wisdom. Why do you think that people were forced to stay home, watch the TV, and were constantly, no matter where you went on the TV, no matter what you watched, you were bombarded with ads at minimum, or an up to the nanosecond 24/7 news cycle of nonsense that is designed to keep you in fear. It's fear porn, fear porn, fear porn, negativity, fear porn, fear porn. Thank you, good night. And then more ads on top of that, espousing the same thing. Protect your family, protect yourself, protect your community. Ladies and gentlemen, that was designed to control your mind, to get you thinking that someone who didn't was not virtuous. And now many of you are waking up to realize that you have been betrayed. You're going to have to turn that knowledge into wisdom and ensure that that kind of thing never happens again, and if it does, you're not part of it. Spiritually speaking, how are we doing? Well, we've got an inversion of justice here. You're not really balancing things out right now. Sure, mentally, physically, you may be doing well, but are you engaging in any kind of activity that is conducive to keeping it? Ladies and gentlemen, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you have all three, mind, body, and spirit, working together, if all three are strong, you are unstoppable, you are powerful, you are damn near invincible. Right now, the spirit needs a little more work. The good news about this card is that you can change things. Right now, spiritually, you're probably finding yourself a little unbalanced. Have you been working too much? Have you been working too little? Have you been less thankful and more envious? Have you been focusing on what you want or don't have rather than what you do have or what you do need? There it is. You've already got it. You didn't need me to really point it out, did you? It was right there all along. Let's see how you can be your most authentic self. Well, these cards are just speaking for themselves here. Defend to the end the worthwhile. So the question is, what is worthwhile to you? Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of this is looking like if you don't know what you're worth, then you are going to be constantly taken advantage of. And that's just fact. It happens to all of us. It could happen at a job. You don't know what you're worth, so you're sitting there in a job that it's thankless, it's dead end, it's not going anywhere. What are you going to do? I can tell you this much right now. If you find that you can go somewhere else and make the same amount of money for less stress, do it. Don't let sunk cost fallacy get in your path. See what I'm saying? Because that's going to aid you in coming to life. Let me tell you what this card means right now. Because I'm seeing the entire context, but just this one, you feel like you're just going through the motions every day, it's not worthwhile. If you feel like everything's just kind of going up in flames, it's not worthwhile. You can throw water on it all you want, but it's just not going to happen. Some things are meant to break down. And they're there to break down so that they can fertilize new life. That new life could be yours. It's up to you. How do you do that? Know how to say always do what lights you up? This card is it. Look at how vibrant those colors are. Look at her face. Isn't it interesting that she's looking into the light of a sunflower, and we've got Sol, or Suna, our sun goddess. You know, she's also being chased by a wolf, same as her brother Money. And her time is just as precious as anyone's. Someone may think you're crazy, but guess what? In the end, that's going to be what it is. So, for the runes here, for the mental, we're looking at Hagalars. And this is hail. This is struggle. Guess what? If your mind is balanced, if everything's in an equilibrium, you don't have to worry about the struggle. The struggle is what makes us. If your life had no struggle, you would get bored. You know, Joe Rogan talked about this one time. He said, where, you know, if you give a guy everything he wants, right? You've got women feeding him grapes. He's sitting on a throne. He's got, you know, hundreds of acres of land, and he's got people just kind of taking care of all of it for him, and now he's able to indulge his every whim and desire. Eventually, he's going to be like, get those grapes out of my face. Get away from me. And he's going to get up off that throne, and he's going to go do something. Maybe he'll call a few friends over for some gaming. Maybe he'll call some friends over, and they'll go out into those fields of acres of land that he has, and they'll work on it themselves. Maybe he'll start a garden, and he'll struggle with it, and he'll learn about it, and he'll grow those crops eventually, and then he'll learn from that and figure out better ways to do it. But he will go through that struggle, because the struggle is part of our growth. The prettiest flower had to push through a lot of dirt to get there. Physically speaking, we have Rider-Waite. Now, Rider-Waite is an interesting card because I've always said it, especially when it comes to the tabletop role-playing games. Especially when it comes to the wisdom that I'm trying to promote with original D&D right now. The GM or the DM is just he's an impartial referee. Everything is rolled. Everything is random. So your adventurers go on random adventures. They have random encounters. They go through random parts of the land. It's all kind of mapped out as they go. Why? Because everyone will experience growth. Growth in their characters, growth with their ability to call the shots, arbitrate the rules at the table. And in the end, what emerges from it is the stories that the players and the DM will tell. They'll tell their friends later, yes. We went through this swamp, and it was slow going, and we had to plod on through. See, there's that struggle again. But we ended up making it. By the time we did, we were pretty beat up. Thank goodness we had some healing potions on us. The story emerges from the gameplay itself. AgainstAllOdds4.blogspot.com. Check out Cavern of the Chaos Lord. That emerged from a solo game sitting right here at this table. And there's pictures to go along with it, so if you want to see how it played out, I show you. Life is more about the journey, not so much the destination. And guess what? We got Thurasaz. the Thorn rune, the first letter of Thor's name, hence the reason Thor is in this particular picture. Once again, the storm cannot consume you if you are the storm. Doesn't mean you have to go blowing through everything in sight. Just means you're going to have to aggressively seek out the means of balancing your life without overcorrecting. Do not do that. That is the worst thing you can do. Overcorrection never makes anyone happy. Least of all you. Least of all me. And if you're the type that's looking for some simplicity in your life, I would suggest sticking to it. Because at the end of the day, there is a certain happiness, there's a certain wisdom and simplicity. And every one of us could do with a little decluttering of our lives, couldn't we? I think so. But there you have it. Time to stop focusing on what we feel betrayed by. It's time to focus on what we love the most. It's time for us to get back to balancing our physical, mental, and spiritual lives. Take that day off if you need to. Sit down and read that book. Do some meditation. Engage in just a little gratitude practice with your gods. Whoever they are. Turn the knowledge that you have into wisdom. Really look at it. Why do you know it? I think you're getting it. And if you don't, just meditate on it a little while. I bet you'll get it. It won't take but about 5 minutes, I guarantee you. Alright. Love you all. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other. I want you to always do what lights you up, because that is going to matter the most. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've done what's right by other people and you've never gotten any back for yourself, you're throwing yourself away. Don't do that. And as always, shine on. I just wanted to pop a little post-credit scene in here just to let you know that this Saturday we will be talking with Oblivion Oddities Gaming, who has a D30 system. And right now it's only 27 pages. It's kind of in its rough draft, but I assure you it's extremely interesting. And I'm pretty sure you're going to want to stick around to see it. By the way, I also wanted to engage in a little gratitude myself and thank everyone for your likes, your comments, your shares, your subscribes, for checking out the Substack that I tend to write for. I'm currently working on a follow-up article to the original D&D article I posted. There are some concerns that people have come up with, and I'd like to try to address those in sort of an article. And if you have read that article and you have concerns, feel free to drop them. I might just address it. You never know. In fact, I probably will. Mainly because I'm trying to kind of prove a little bit of a point and show you a little something. Some people said that you kind of needed the rules from Chainmail to really enjoy D&D, and that could be a little true, but Chainmail was a completely different game. That was a medieval war game, and I've got a cat taking swipes at my hand from the back of the couch. I got it anyway, haha. Got you. Okay. That's enough. No. Stop that. He's feeling a little frisky. Look, I won't have time to do the shorts today. I'm sorry about that. I've kind of fallen behind, and but I will be putting out this video. I hope you'll join me on Saturday, and me and Joe, we're gonna sit around. We're gonna talk gaming stuff for a little while. Hopefully we can do it with you, and let's have some fun. I think the system's interesting. I'm curious to see where it's going to go, and I'm sure Paul at Oblivion Oddities will be taking us on the grand tour. So you'll get a look at a game system that is currently in development, and not one that has been released yet. So let's have a look. Let's get a look behind the scenes at how that process is done. It's one of those things we've really never done before, and I really like to do it with you, because I enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy hanging out with you, I enjoy games, I enjoy all kinds of things. So why don't you come on by, have your cup of tea or coffee or whatever with us, have your breakfast in the morning with us, and yeah, have some fun, okay? Love you. Take care.